Thursday. Let me just make sure my mic is on because I've been known to screw that up. Right. I see Facebook, YouTube. Hold on. See. Maybe so. Maybe not. Lord have mercy. Oh, okay. I think you can hear me. Yes. All right. Great, hanging in. All right. Today we are going to kick off module 7, which is really just going down some deep personal roads of spirituality, religion, and carving out sacred spaces as we face the final stretch of life. It's really about just throttling down the road of our own beliefs and finding solace in times of our rides and mapping out legacies that we want to just kind of blare through and be prepared for. So, thanks for being here today. I left this as a pop up, but I wanted to make sure that we just hit some of the roads that I wanted to journey on with you in this module 7 of my Death Doula certification, which I completed, but we are working on wrapping up the last couple of lessons. And one of the points that I wanted to chat with you about today was our spiritual journey. It's our own roadmap. It's our deeply personal journey that's only for us. The second part of what I wanted to touch on today was sacred spaces. I mean, that's our soul's pit stop. That's where we create personal sanctuaries along the way until the end. And the third thing we're going to chat about today is rituals. These are personal milestones that guide us. And these are markers along our soul's highway. These transitions of just grit and grace, we really need to be aware of and work on, in particular on the last leg of our ride, which, of course, we never know when that's going to be. But let me just check here. I think we've got it. All right. Hi, my name is Michelle Trieste, and I'm a speaker and a workshop creator. I am here to spread awareness of how early planning for the last ride of our lives can alleviate stress, confusion, and allow legacy of peace, love, and respect. If you can hear me, type in the word honor. And we are going to talk a lot about just honoring ourselves and our journey and our path that we come along to. I have been a good girl on my notes this week. Well, when I went through my course, and so I will be referring to those notes because my brain isn't that good. I don't remember all the little tiny details, but we are going to make our way through these different aspects. Now, up till now, this is our module 7. We have module 8. Up till now, just to remind people, we went through an overview of Death Doula basics. We have looked at grief over the course of our lifespan. We've looked at communication and obviously sensitive conversations, whether it's with families, our medical professionals, just people around us. So these are hard conversations of end of life. We also looked at just the planning for end of life, the specifics as far as the paperwork, the legalistics, just the way we want to organize our life. So we want to advance directives, all those fun things. We spoke about that in module 4. 5, we spoke about the medical perspective of things, what that looks like literally at the end of life. Last week, module 6, we looked at caregiving, boundaries, and professional self-care. So a lot of strategies to look at just self-care and support systems. So this week is module 7, look at spirituality, religion, and I'll tell you at the end what we're going to hit on the last ride, our last pit stop on the way to wrapping up the Death Doula Chronicles as I go through this and walking through this with you, sharing with you. And I hope these lessons and teachings are helpful to you. Now, to start off, it's what a great week it is because it's right before Easter, not Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, and Ramadan. So, wow, talk about hitting the home run here for the spiritual energy in the air. It's pretty wild that this module it falls on this particular very spiritual week. So, I think whether you are consider yourself spiritual, religious, or not, there's a lot to learn here. It was, I remember reading a poll that said probably I think it was like 61% of people actually utilize religious and spiritual support in hospice. So it was like that's pretty high considering the other statistic was like 72% of people, Americans, don't think they need any kind of religion or spirituality to help give them morals or values. It's like, okay, I get it. There's different types of spirituality and beliefs, but it's interesting how you're saying most people are like, I don't need any of that stuff. But at the end, more than half the people are utilize it, and that's the freedom of evolving and spirituality and respecting our walk, our journey, in between the beginning and the end, on our ride. So, um, yeah, so we have a lot of just different ways of looking at things. So I'm going to try to be organized here a little bit more so we can see where we are at. Okay, so yes, like that. Fancy. All right. Our spiritual journey is our own roadmap. I thought that would be a little bit easier for you to follow along with and keep me on track. Um, yeah, so we have different spiritual perspectives of things. Like I said, um, there's a lot of Christian and Muslim like practices. Everything's kind of in the air right now, and a lot of in between things. So, um, I think it's one of these things where you evolve with spirituality, and different experiences. As a death doula, you don't adhere to any particular um, faith or religious aspect you want to kind of push on people that you are caring for, which is totally understandable. And I don't think you should do that anyway. I think that people should be allowed to bloom, and kind of go on their ride. And if they see something that they want to encounter and check it out, like they should stop and check it out. A wonderful movie that comes to mind is I had that like the worst memory, you know that, right? The Life of Pi. Yes, Life of Pi. This young man, if you haven't seen it, it's a beautiful movie. I've read the book and saw the movie, which doesn't happen very often, but I did. And this young boy shares his walk through his spirituality and how he stopped at different uh, places, different all different religions and how he learned from each one and incorporated each one. So that's pretty cool. I always thought that was pretty cool that, we can do that. And a lot of times these things overlap, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, like there's so much that overlaps. So I always say, sometimes we have whoever we dated first, our first love we're closest to. So whether you were introduced to a religion or spirituality, that's one type, but then you're introduced to other ones along the way, you're always gonna probably have first love, of the one you learned maybe when you were a child or something. But it doesn't mean that the other, um, doors, spiritual and religious doors, don't also, have meaning to that house, of faith. So, yeah, just, keep yourself open to it and respect it. But as a death doula, we are not, it's not our job to judge or push anyone into observing any type of religious or spiritual practice at the end of life. So you don't want anything, that's cool. If you want support or education or anything, you can ask a death doula. I mean, you want a priest, you want any kind of priest, you want a Buddhist priest, whatever, like someone to read your last rites or just come with you for confession, or the Buddhists want someone to read the Book of the Dead, to help them pass on. Like, it's all great, it's all good. So death doulas are there to support you in those efforts, or support you and if you don't want it. And a lot of times people enter into things saying, I really want nothing to do with this stuff. But then sometimes, many times, people in their last moments actually have an interest in it. So it's important that we are all just aware and respect that even ourselves or a loved one who said, I want nothing to do with this stuff, they had been hurt in some way or had no experience, may change their mind at the end. And so that's what a death doula is there to do, to help support that person to go whatever direction they want to go. Because that's their own roadmap. It's not for us to push our desires or fears or hangups or bad experiences on someone else. And I think that goes for us on our parents, us on our children, our neighbors, like, just have respect for each other's journeys, spiritual journeys. And one of the ways we come to spiritual roadmaps, a nice way to stop on a road is to encounter the pit stops in life. So when we see something on the side of the road that really catches our eye and can make us go deeper into the mystery of life and death, we should stop. Stop at those pit stops. So um, these are places that give us the space to kind of just kick back and look at life, look at where we sit with what we're doing in our life, where we're not sitting well with what we're doing in our life. And a lot of times I think that's where our values actually will pop up, as well as our truths, because the outside world's truth is is just made up of a lot of opinions and fears. And hey, sometimes misery loves company. So um you can't go by that. You need to make space for yourself where you can go and get rid of all the exterior noise and have the chance to listen to your own soul and what direction you want to go in. And that's why we need these these spaces. It could be outdoors and this, just under the blue sky and the trees and hear the birds, and it kind of clears your mind to remind you that, gee, nature doesn't even need all this head stuff that we give ourselves. Um, so sometimes we need to just remove ourselves and give ourselves these special sanctuaries, these special pit stops. I like to go to monasteries. Those are like my pit stops. I go at least once a year, and I just get to empty everything. I mean, right when I get there, I just like I have a ritual. Okay. When I get there, I dump my stuff off in the cell, which is your room, a little simple bedroom with no distractions at the monastery. Then I just go in the shower, and I wash off everything external, like, it just cleanses me, so I don't think about hair, makeup, what whatever I look like, any expectations. I wash off expectations of myself, expectations I think that other people have of me, and, it's I swear it feels like you lose, like, 10 pounds when you get to somewhere like that and just shake it off. So, and my favorite way to get there is obviously on my motorcycle, because you're just so carefree, where all you have is, your 2 saddlebags and whatever you need for that week or whatever, it's gotta fit in there or it's not coming. So, that's why these sacred places and rituals, go into place, and hold hands together, because, whether it's a favorite room in the house that has, um, pictures of our family, or a space where it's nature around us, or we want to go somewhere where there's nothing around us, that it completely takes out any type of distraction, is very special, and we're lucky to be able to do that. So whatever that is, whatever, float your boat, just do it as long as you make that space sacred to you. And it's not about anyone else. What does it for them? And what else did I want to? Sacred spaces. I did want to mention there's different types. Yes. So in the training, they spoke about different practices that you can do. There is no right and no wrong. And one of the differences I appreciated, what one of the differences that I learned was religion is more about structure and spirituality is more about exploration. All right. Now, you kind of need both, right? We're human beings. We need some structure. We want to understand, we're thinkers. We're thinkers. So we do need some kind of structure. Otherwise, our little monkey minds will just go off and create lots of drama and go down a lot of bunny trails, judging others, ourselves, whatever it is. And we need the reins. We need that line in the road to keep us moving forward sometimes. So, structure and religion can be very helpful. All right. Um, But it's not the be all end all, I don't think, because we have to involve our soul into the process. So, if we just follow a route without involving our soul in this discussion, then, um, we're just playing dumb. We're just sticking our heads in the sand. So, when you look at the 2 put together, religion and spirituality, you find more, belief, comfort, We have more reflection on our lives, and we can find our personal ethics, what works for the truth for ourselves, and a way to figure out how we could feel we live, with ourselves and connected with ourselves. So it's not about someone else, um, because if we worry about what someone else thinks, then we're really just, denying our own truth, and it's not about outside, it's about inside. We can't ever deny that truth. I think otherwise that really brings into play, mental and emotional issues. So, yeah, that's just us making peace with ourselves. It's not has nothing to do with anyone else. Um, and we spoke a lot about when we take a look at, like I said, it's the Easter's coming up. We've got Good Friday coming up. And it made me think about, Martha and Mary in the Bible. People know the story of Martha and Mary, and it made me think of Ramadan too. Um, but Martha and Mary, the story of Martha and Mary is that Jesus came. I'm really dumbing this down, but Martha was busy taking care of all the tasks, all the things to do. Like we have to make sure the food is here and everything's good and comfortable and the guests and the house is clean and perfect. And so Martha was thinking all about the tasks, all right? Which is a little bit like religion, all right? And then you have Mary, and Mary just sat and was a witness to the word of Jesus. So she would just sit there and just absorb. Her soul would just absorb that and just connect. That to me is a form of showing just how spirituality works. You're more you're a witness. Um, so those things together are, they work out well and they work out beautifully when you combine and look at the two things, the religion and the spirituality. I think when we say there's nothing that comes from anything, I don't think that's true. I think there's always something that, something good can come out of it, and, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. I had actually gone through a recent, death doula, another training that I'm working on now with, Henry Weiss. And he had us go through this exercise, which reminded me of Stephen ministry when I was a Stephen minister, which was as a doula for us to ask questions of family members, of the dying person. And it was a great exercise to ask people what their experiences are with death and dying, even religion. Like, what's been your experience? What's been your take? That's why I put up a poll today or yesterday, on that such topic, which is, spirituality and religion. What has impacted your view on death and dying? The responses that I had actually turned out 67% of the people said it was transformative. The part that religion or spirituality played on, their experience of end of life. Then 39% said, "Yes, it did have an impact on me, but I have more questions." And I got 0 for no impact. So, it's one of those things, like, before we do not address preparing, um, for our journey, we should ask ourselves, "What happens if I don't prepare? What am I gonna miss out on?" Because whether it's you who knows that they're dying, or people aren't even admitting that you're dying, which that kinda sucks because then you don't get to really use your time, meaningfully enough, and that's what's really sad when people around you don't wanna admit, "Yes, this person, yes, is dying." They take away that gift for you to go through, which is your rite of passage to go through your end of life and how you wanna organize things, how you wanna create your last, memorable moments, how you wanna organize the rituals that you want. Maybe you didn't want any before, but now you're like, "Wait a minute, I think I do." Maybe it has nothing to do with a church or anything, but for my soul to I wanna organize what my soul is telling me to do to honor, put in the chat, honor if you're here, to honor my soul and my being that's here on this earth for this short amount of time, and I'm going to honor it. So, my way, because when you're gone, people will honor things the way they want it done or ways that they, um, are familiar with. So it's better that you get together beforehand and talk about the rituals that you would like at your end of life and to enable them to witness that. The gift you give there is that then you give them the power to witness, um, for themselves. Because a lot of times people, especially in America, we don't know how to do that. We think the only way we get a witness is we have a big house or a big bank account or something we can brag about, but that's not, um, in the last of your days. That's not what anyone wants to witness. No one wants to witness that. People want to witness what your breath of life brought to this life. That's what they wanna witness. Um, and a wonderful point, that was made in my training was that there's nothing to fix. Isn't that, like, totally freeing? There's nothing to fix. Just because you want something different or maybe there's certain things that you'll never be happy with, but there's nothing to fix. It's just witnessing. And as a death doula or a friend, partner in, a care partner, you're there to witness and just accept that there's nothing to fix. It's okay. N We're all gonna have something at the end, more or less, for different people, that they never resolved, but it's not our job to fix anything. No one has their life and all their issues or concerns or whatever resolved when they die, so accept it. It's just not. So just be trustworthy and show up and witness for each other. And the training talks about a lot of different traditional, um, spiritual traditions. We know there's Catholic, Protestant, Methodist, Quaker, Jewish, Buddhist, Islam, Muslim, Hindu. We can go on and on and on. But it's about exploring, um, ourselves and our relationship with these traditions or beliefs if you have one. And if you don't, then that's a question too. Like, why? Like, for me, for instance, I had been baptized, and I think I did my first communion when I was a kid in the Catholic church. But then, later on in life, I went and brought my kids to church, and I went to Catholic, then I went to Congregational. I was involved in, worked in Presbyterian. I love the Buddhists. They um, they have the best practices of prayer. So I've found and the Sufis, those are Muslims. Yeah, so Sufis are along the mystic line. Um, but there's just so many beautiful things about the different ways to express prayer, um, prayer, just inner contemplation, and different ways that you can be comforted and just different ways to do it. So, if anyone has anything, any ways that they like to feel comforted, please put it in the chat. And the rituals and practices look different, very different. The sad thing is sometimes in America, because we wanted to keep it neat and clean, everything looks the same. So if you don't prepare, then when you show up and make the call to the undertaker, they're just gonna give you a cookie cutter, way to organize things, which is very sad. So you should be involved in creating that beautiful um, ritual that celebrates who you are as an individual. All right. Like, don't I have to use a good word. Don't wimp out. Okay. That's the word wimp. I'm going to use that. Don't wimp out. Like, make it about celebrating who you who you who you are in the community. And this is not about bragging rights. This is not about ego. So check that. Leave that on your resume, okay? Leave the resume stuff off to the side, please. Because the gift you give is the real you. All right. So um yeah, that's really what you can give the gift of, is to help other people. And what else? We talked about a lot of rituals. We talked about the different ways that it can actually affect the grieving and bereavement process. If you start early and you share the your story, and you allow your family members to start to process what you're saying, what you want to share. And then you can begin to honor that by um, just matching up some things, some stories, because everyone's version of their story is completely different. Except that each one of us, I don't care if we grew up in the same family, we're married, whatever, we all have a completely different story that we are coming from and that we are creating through our thoughts and our words. So, when it comes to end of life, it's the most wonderful opportunity for you to hone in and really put together what is it, um, the beauty that you have experienced in this time here on earth. And it will inspire others to do the same. So, if you're single, if you're married, whatever you add to the collective story needs to be shared. It needs to be shared. So be bold, have courage, and use your words to share that. And you're not trying to push it on anyone. You want to let that out. And stories help bring that about. So I'm actually organizing some workshops. Some will be in person, some will be online. And that is to help people look at bringing those stories about and just getting it out of our head and getting into practice. Um, and lastly, I wanted to make a mention of just the rites of passage. So we have Palm Sunday and Ramadan, which is Muslims where they're fasting. They're in deep prayer, reflection. They don't eat, drink anything from sun up to sundown. And yeah, so they're very focused. They use that religious practice in order to connect spiritually to their souls. Christians do this, Jews do this, Buddhists do this, not in this exact way, but we all have a form of where we um, try to take out the distractions in life, whether that's food or activities. We do things in our life that help us use our courage and our strength in order to focus on what's deep down inside us. And that's hard to do. It's easy just to keep doing what you're doing. Um, but it doesn't cleanse your soul. Like it doesn't get you real close with it. So you have less stress, less regrets, and you feel heard. So that's why these practices are very important. And you can always switch them up how you do things. I know for like Christians, we do Lent, which is typically you give up one thing, but it's not just about giving it up. It's not about giving up meat on Fridays, really. It's about giving up something so then you spend more time with um, in prayer and with the spirit. So that's why I say there's so many beautiful ways in time that has shown us different ways to do the same thing. I mean, whether it was Jesus under the tree or um, Buddha under the tree, having temptations of food or whatever it is, and having the gumption to say no, like that's huge. So these are wonderful practices. Spirituality and religion can show us some wonderful practices, just giving us a guide, all right, um, on how to have self-control. We need self-control, especially in America, we have so many choices that can freeze you right there. So, um, yeah, so these are 2 different things that, rites of passage and just doing things symbolically, will bring they have the common themes of renewal, forgiveness, and preparation for, transition. So, like I said earlier, when I go to a monastery, I go there with an intent in mind. I have something that I need to change. Maybe sometimes I don't even know what, but I just feel like a weight on me. I need to dump whatever it is. So I will go there and I will process. I'll write, I'll pray, I'll walk. And by the time I leave, I feel that much lighter. So, um, eating, same thing. I go through twice a year, a cleanse where I do not have coffee, alcohol, no sugars. And so I do that twice a year for 28 days. So, yes, it doesn't align with a certain religious aspect, but I know that's my way of cleansing. So, your way of cleansing or certain rituals, rites of passage don't have to be on someone else's clock. They are wonderful reminders for us to do something that keeps us connected and introspective of what we're doing and who we are. And, if we're hurting someone else, if question ourselves, right? Like, is this really true what I'm thinking? Um, question ourselves because if we're true to ourselves and we're true with others, um, but if we lie to ourselves, we're lying to others. So, in our quiet moments alone. So this is, let's say, this is, I really wanted to not keep you long, but these are just parts um, that fuel our journey through the twists and turns of our life. Now, with that, I wanted to just give you a reminder that I'm very excited. I have Barbara Carnes tomorrow, Wednesday, the 20th. She's a longtime hospice nurse, educated, and a pioneer. She has authored booklets that many providers of end of life care rely on and have totally changed the way we look at and experience death of a loved one, as well as the family members. So this time, Barbara has written a new book, and she is going to give us a real intimate glimpse into the complexities of the grief that she had through her latest book, which is called 6 Months After My Husband Died. It's interesting that she shares when someone dies, we put them on a pedestal. They could do no wrong. But there's a lot of times where someone who dies, however way, um, there's no perfect relationship. So I am very excited to share with you another way of being honest and looking at not only our loved ones, how we could tend to put them up on a pedestal. How do we deal with that when maybe someone else does and we don't? We're like, I know what the real skinny is here. He's not all sweet and whatever that you're treating him with. But how do you deal with that internal struggle? So she will share with us how she dealt with some differences in opinions at times. And then next Tuesday, we will have our last module on the Death Doula Chronicles of my certification. So I will see you next week. And in the meantime, if you want more support or your group needs more support and you have found these lessons and lives helpful, let me know. Talk to me and we can work together on spreading the awareness of how early planning for the last ride of our lives can alleviate stress, confusion, and allow a legacy of peace, love, and respect. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter as well as for the free workbook that I have that's posted because that's going to go away at the end of this month. So I will see you tomorrow and you have a great day. Bye bye.